All right.
Obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you very much. You may please be seated. Something very weird happens to me every time we play the national anthem. I actually have it literally as a permanent ringtone on my phone, and I've done that for probably the last 5 years. So I never knew I loved Nigeria. Against the introduction of genetically modified foods propelled him into national consciousness. As a seasoned and thoroughbred architect, he's passionate about using his architecture as a tool to solve societal and economic challenges. From his time at the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, and his experience working with both the American and the Chinese governments in relation to rebuilding the New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and the Beijing Olympics, respectively, to his critically acclaimed thesis on the creation of a network of waste pickers and recycling centers in Lagos. His professional focus has consistently been on the innovative and alternative construction methods to create affordable housing in Nigeria. GRV, as we know him, absolutely thrives on problem solving. As the creative director at Spatial Tectonics, his specialty includes alternative design and construction systems that increase affordability and access to affordable luxury. To this end, he has designed and worked with state governments on modular buildings using repurposed containers and alternative construction methods and materials that are safe for human use. He is also the design lead for the commercial and large-scale urban projects such as the Delta International Commercial City. Prior to the founding of Spatial Tectonics, GRV worked in Nigeria's top architecture firms and Franklin Ellis Architects in the United Kingdom. He sits on the board of Al Huda Construction Nigeria, the Delta International Commercial City Limited, the Rhodes Vivour Foundation, Multi-Development and Construction Corporation, MDCC Africa, Bloke, and E-Terra Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, you believe that that is an impressive resume of some sort. Please join me as we make welcome Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour.
Youth, not just youth, unemployment, underemployment, and our vision for creating jobs in Lagos State. Lagos State has the hugest population in Nigeria in terms of the sheer amount of people in the small footprint of it, and every day more and more people are coming into Lagos. Sometimes this immigration is used as an excuse to justify the mediocrity that the government has left us in terms of traffic, in terms of service, in terms of how our experience of Lagos is and the livability, which is ranked so poorly. Lagos also happens to have the highest unemployment rate higher than the national average, which is 33%. Lagos is currently at 37%. And that will make sense also because of our population. But that should not be the case because there's so much opportunity that comes with Lagos State that has not been harnessed. We have a situation where we have huge youth unemployment, underemployment, a huge amount of people are out of school. And what we are going to do as a government is to focus on ensuring that we can put people into productive experiences and allow their lives to flourish. Today, when I was on my way here, I stopped at the chemist because I was not feeling too good and I bought Nurofen. And the security guard walked up to me and said, I know you are the governorship candidate. I said, yes, I am. Thank you so much. Said, I'm behind you. But see me, as I wear this uniform like this, I'll be graduate too. Like literally, I'm saying this thing just happened to me like 40 minutes ago. I'll be graduate too, and I know like this uniform where they wear. I know like this work where they do. He studied business. Administrative studies. He studied administrative studies. Public administration. I said I should remember him. You know, when that is behind me, when I win, I should remember him. And this is the story of so many people, right? You have the PhD drivers that are being recruited by Dangote to drive their trucks. You have situations where I've always talked about these young men that I met that we'll call Agberos, that one is a graduate of Unilag, the other was a graduate of Nsukka. And this is a recurring theme in Lagos State. And our party is focused on restoring dignity to labor. But for dignity to be restored to labor, there must be labor. So as a government, our focus is on creating opportunities, engaging in mass productive work. So from the local government level that are going to be heavily invested in to start doing, to start making it look like what it ought to be. A lot of work in terms of road construction, a lot of work in terms of our education, a lot of work in terms of healthcare, creating social safety nets. All of these are going to absorb manpower. And one of the ways that we're going to be able to fund this, because people always ask, how you fund it, is we are going to use the money that Alpha Beta has accumulated a lot better. That's what I'm going to keep saying and drumming it into everybody's heads. They have eaten money for a long time. It's now time for the people to benefit from those funds. And we're going to use those funds to equip people to engage with government because Lagos State is so underserved. So people will need equipment, people will need capacity to hire people, people will need to be able to engage with government. And we're going to use those funds and make it easy for them to access. So for us, a number of issues that we're going to address, we're going to take away this stigma of vocational learning. I said this the last time. I'm talking about creating craftsmen, right? Creating craftsmen, people that take pride in creating this, take pride in making a leather shoe, take pride in making a leather bag. And the whole idea will be to give them the skills, the training, the finishing, and sophistication so they can start to export. Right? Because that's how we really move from consumption to production. Yes, we can buy our own goods, but the real win is exporting our goods. And we have the capacity to do that because there are a lot of things that can be made, and once we can start achieving economies of scale, once we can start allowing for free flows of factors of production, then you can actually start to benefit from these things and create jobs. For us as well, we're going to ensure that the idea of making, the idea of production is something that will be ingrained into our education system. It's no longer okay to just go to school to cram, to consume. When I graduate, I'll buy a car, I'll buy a house. No. We must now take pride in crafting things, in making things. And it can be anything from music to art to science. The idea of knowing how things are made is something that's going to be ingrained into our education system. In after-school programs, in school programs, and with the youth in general, the time of just getting a degree and moving forward and getting a job has passed. People are now interested in skills. What are the skills you have? Today, there are in-demand jobs that you can apply for from Nigeria and you're working for somebody in San Francisco because you have those skills. How are we going? So for us, we're going to expose youth and the people, continuous learning in Lagos, to these skills and expose them to the internet and where they can apply for these things. There's a constant attempt by our government to increase people's capacity. Whether you're doing a small, whether you're an SME, you start remitting a certain level of tax, we're going to send people to help you with your accounting, improve your capacity. The idea, like I said the last time, is our government is going to be one of gardeners. We're going to improve your capacity. We're watering, we're weeding, we're helping you flourish. And that's the aim of our government. So you have a lot of young men that never get to university, they drop out. What is the program for that? How does society create a social net that also catches them and ensures that they can still thrive, right? And that is the kind of network we're going to be creating and domiciling at local government. We also have an alternative curriculum relating to in-demand jobs. I've talked about this. So that we're constantly monitoring what are the in-demand jobs. How are we going to layer on the skills you already have to make you to be able to eligible to apply for those jobs and get it. We're also going to look and use comparative advantages in different local governments. So for instance, you're in Ekpe, you're in Kurudu, aquaculture is extremely important. You're in Badagry, tourism is extremely important, right? And we're going to be looking at all of these and creating, it's important for our knowledge and whatever programs that we put our youth in and our people in to be practical means of earning a living. For too long, our education system has always been about cramming. 90% of knowledge that people get, they never end up using it, right? So the idea now is you get knowledge and we're showing you how we apply it. You get knowledge, we show you how it's being applied outside the country, in the country, bringing industry and education as close as possible together, right? So that we can also start to create the brains that will allow for an industrial revolution to take place. Currently now you have a situation where most of our industries are packing up and churches are moving in, right? So moving on, waking up on a Monday morning at 7, you're hearing people praying and singing. I mean, prayer is good, but God has given us a brain. And God has given us capacity, right? And we can pray for finer things. We can pray for better things. We should not be praying for light. We should not be praying for jobs. We can just pray and be thanking God for good health and life, right? So the idea now is, what I'm trying to say is, productivity. We must carry this, and that's what we're going to champion. And this is going to permeate through the workforce, older generation, youth, the unemployed, the young men on the road, young men on the street, vocational training, digital training, formal training. The idea is everybody must become productive, and we celebrate productivity. We're also going to champion the creative sector, emphasis on filmmaking, emphasis on music, you know, and just all facets. So it's not just science, it's not just music, it's not just art. Every facet of life that you can get a skill in, the idea will be, how are you productive? How does the government make you more productive? And the environment that we create to make people a lot more productive. So with that said, I'll really look forward to getting questions. I feel that employment, aside from the state creating an enabling environment for businesses to flourish, taking away multiple taxation without incentives for people to pay those taxes, you know, creating ease of doing business so that Lagos can go to number 1, so that businesses can thrive and employ more people. So that's the enabling environment. What I focus more on today is about the individuals themselves, because there might be jobs, but people are not employable. So we must have a process by which we can equip people with skills and make them employable. So that was my focus for today. Yes, the last time I was focused more on the enabling environment. These are things we'll do. Take out traffic to make people's lives more productive. You don't have to waste 6 hours in traffic every day. Imagine if you can just have 6 hours and you're not sitting stagnant in a car or a bus, how much more productive you'll be. So that's the environment. But today is about the people. Yeah. So thank you very much.
All right, that was quite concise, and I like the way you have actually made it quite practical. Now, I'm going to dive right into a few questions that I have already before me. And I'm going to say this as if I'm saying it on behalf of a number of unemployed or underemployed people. and I'm voicing the fears and concerns they have. And it says, among my peers and I, there's so much nervousness and worry about what our lives can actually ever turn out to be. Is there even a hope for us to successfully make it even to the barely comfortable middle class? These are, the concerns that a lot of the younger generation, have.
Yes, and it's very unfortunate because you see a lot of people in Nigeria, they start focusing on their interests as opposed to the interests of the collective. So I'm going to work hard and I'll buy a Jeep because of the potholes. I'll work hard, I'll buy a generator because of NEPA. I'll send my children abroad. But Nigeria will still get you. It might not even get you now, but it gets someone close to you. Right? You cannot Niger-proof yourself forever.
Interesting.
No, you can't. Nigeria will find you. I mean, you have $1 million naira in your account sitting jejely, You didn't do anything. You're a good person. You're diligent. You're working and everything. But this has now gone from £4,000 to barely £1,500. Nigeria found you to your account. So the idea of saying all of this is this now. We now need to start thinking in the interest of the collective. And the state also. That's why it's very important to participate in politics. So that politicians and leaders don't feel that everything should be run in their interest and they are the bosses and you have no say in it. Once the people start holding politicians accountable and demonstrate interest and seriousness in the capacity to remove them out of office if they misbehave, then politicians will start thinking about the interests of the collective, not just their own interests. Now, to come to this, our government is focused on a massive war against urban poverty. And that's why, as I alluded earlier on, we've seen a situation where over a period of over 20-something years, you've had a company amass over 1.2 trillion based on, averaging it out. And for what? How many lives did this make better? And we are saying that Lagos did not collapse with that. So we are going to take those funds and redistribute it to the people of Lagos and fund productivity. So we are not dashing it out. It's not free lunch. It's monies that you pay back over a period of time. And in paying it back, you are creating wealth and more people can buy in and can come into this system. So I'll give you an example. We feel that for our gutters to flow and for Lagos to actually start to experience less flooding on the short term, we need to have men that man gutters on a daily basis. So they're cleaning out the gutters, they're making sure they're flowing, they're removing whatever dirt is clogging it up. Now, this usually happens every 3 or 4 months. You will notice, if you notice, by the local government. But that causes a lot of flooding and problems, right? So we are being proactive. You don't have to wait. A person is engaged, and that person's role is to manage social amounts, social kilometers or meters of gutters. Now, he needs equipment. He will need his shovel. He will need his cart. He will need, his equipment. We will fund that. And as long as 5 people can come together, set up, register a business name so that taxes come back to the state, then they're engaged in a productive situation. They're getting paid for us and they're repaying their loans as well. So these are some of the ideas that we're going to put into play because we're going to mount, and I say it again, a very serious war against urban poverty. Right, so that's what we're going to be doing.
Thank you very much. I think that something that I can, concisely draw out of what you've said is putting back dignity in labor. So everybody doesn't have to aspire to have a white-collar job, but should be able to earn enough to live comfortable, meaningful lives that they can, expand on. All right. So I have another question, and I'm going to tie it this way. We're talking and we're focusing on the underemployed and the unemployed. Between these two categories, there's a significant overlap, a gray area. How how do you intend to some significant degree, separate them and, harness the value thereof? I heard something on the streets that there is an unemployment and underemployment register that you have championed, that will be hosted on your site to enable people. So can you please speak to this?
So this ties into some of the ideas that we're already playing with and trying to figure out how and implement, really. But we're doing it outside of government at this point. So we're looking to, first of all, data is important. Data allows for you to plan better. Data allows for you to know the kind of skills that people have. And it also allows you to be able to understand where they can be improved upon, right? So the first step is to get as many young people, get as many people in general to register on this our platform that details the skills that they have, jobs and opportunities they're interested in, skills they will also like to learn, skills that they would like to have, so that we can start planning for the process of those employability skills programs, enrolling them in it, ensuring that opportunities exist after they've gone through these programs. And that's what we're doing. You should look out for a very big announcement very soon. We'll be unveiling this portal for the people of Lagos, and also telling them and sharing with them our plans to use the funds of Lagos, the Commonwealth of Lagos, to make them a lot more wealthy and set on the path towards being middle class.
Thank you very much for that. Just to help the viewers and participants who will spread this, GRV's website is www.grv.com.ng, and that is where the register will be hosted, and you can please feel free to check there periodically. A lot of background work is being done to ensure that the right data and analysis is put to use. So another question has come, and this is quite interesting. It says, Lagos has a number of old industrial estates. I mean, Apapa, Agbara, Ilupeju. What's your plan to deepen and expand industrialization? From what I know, the average Lagosian, where we have a choice, we take off from those locations because, again, it boils back down to accessibility, ease of movement, the good roads. Are we going to get stuck between trailers? But all these things are industrialization. We can't walk away from it. So could you please speak to that?
Yeah, so this, I say to people that one of the biggest problems of Lagos is very poor planning, very poor design. And even aside from the issues that you've raised, which is traffic and being stuck in between trailers and everything, there's also pollution, right? There's the amount of waste that are coming out from these industries that really people should not be around. People should not have to live around there. So for us, we're going to address this by a thorough urban renewal project, right? Different local governments will be earmarked to be the centers of certain activities. I mean, when you look at Apapa, apart from Apapa GRV, all the access coming into it is really commercial. So the idea now is, okay, how can we separate residential, commercial? How can we allow for a lot more free flow of traffic and movement? So these are things we're going to be looking at as a government, and to also ensure that the local government in itself is sustainable and has linkages as well that allow for it to truly become something. I say one of the comparative advantages that we have in Lagos, we could set ourselves up to be the packaging center of the country, right? Whatever you want to export, whatever you want to make, you go to Lagos to package it properly, right? And in doing this, you can now start to create a situation where you have comparative advantage to export things with with the ports. The train system will also come into place that will then allow for us to be moving cargo, aside from just having our containers moving on the roads. So these are some things that we'll be looking at.
I really particularly look forward to the train system, principally for the movement of cargo. Between the trailers, the trucks, the vehicles that have no business carrying cargo that are stuck on the roads. I believe that by the time we move that at least off the main roads, that would create more safety and fluidity in our transportation system.
If we think about how long a container has to stay in a queue to be able to get to the port, think about how much man hours are being wasted. Also, this also compounds into the cost, right? It's cheaper to bring in a container from China to Apapa than it is to get from Apapa to Ikorodu, right? So it's these inefficiencies. And guess who picks the bill for all of this? The citizens. Right? So in creating a more efficient system, the prices of things will start to come down. Increased supply, right? So the prices will start to come down. And then start to have people that can turn around money a lot more frequently. And in doing that, you can now start to create jobs. So for me, when I say we want a Lagos that works like a lean, efficient machine, it's about being as productive as possible so that so many more people can have opportunities. So that one man that's taking 3 days to drop that container could have done 4 trips in those same 3 days. You know? And in doing all of these things, more wealth is created, more opportunities are created, and more jobs are created.
Thank you very much for that. Now I'm going to jump at something very quickly. And I read and watched something somewhere on social media, and it says essentially that the TikTok, which is a social media platform, the algorithms that are showcased to the rest of the world is significantly different from what is showcased in China. Yeah. And I believe that a lot of the young people in China, because they are watching the right things, you know, their minds, their purpose, their hunger, their desires are unconsciously and consciously tweaked towards, you know, being productive, being responsible, character-filled people, while the rest of the world are being entertained by our pleasures and all that. How do you think that you can find a way of marrying that, you know, that stroke from China into the Lagos type environments, and by extension, really, the rest of Nigeria?
That's a brilliant question. Thank you. You see, we have always, first of all, we have always sort of been reactionary. We are the receivers of other people's thinking. We don't really come up with original thoughts. And so we just get the leftovers, right? And what you said is exactly true. When you look at TikTok, that she was the recipient of the Mayor's Award for producing something that could diagnose malaria with your phone, right? So you have a mayor that will throw out a contest to everybody and you can win £1,000 or £2,000. These are things that we can do to improve and to create an environment for innovation and production, right? And also give people the skill sets to be able to do better. So you have situations where people might make a car, right, that just looks like it's put from junk. But you can bring in people that can help them make that car better. So we're taking our productivity to a higher level of finesse. And we can do it. It just takes a situation where, as a government, like I said, we domicile fab labs in each local government. You provide machines, CNC routers, laser cutters, 3D printers, and teach people how to make these things. All they just need is to understand. Once you have that window, because I'm a beneficiary of that, we started using 3D printers when people did not know what 3D printers are. In school, the world did not know about it, but we had it and we're using it. And once you have that tool, it opens your mind up to so many possibilities. The idea that I can design a code and just send it and it will be printed, right? It opens up so many opportunities. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to equip the people of Lagos with tools, skills, and let's see how far they take it.
Thank you so much for that. All right, so I'm going to read something. I believe you have already alluded to it in some way, but I'll just read it as a comment. I'm an unemployed graduate and I feel forgotten. The government doesn't know that I exist. What would you do differently? And what are the social programs for people like me?
You know, I've always emphasized on collecting data. I've always emphasized on having a robust local government system because they'll be the primary data gatherers. It's extremely important that every local government should be able to say, these are the total number of unemployed people that we have in this local government. These are their skill sets. These are their interests. So that when they're even negotiating with companies or thinking about how they can engage or be productive, they can factor all of these things in. So for us, it goes back to having an unemployed or underemployed database where people can register, signify things that they're interested in, and then we create the opportunities. And when there are opportunities, we send emails to them, we send messages to them, so they're constantly aware that this kind of situations exist, so they don't feel forgotten. Right? And I feel that once you have a society like that, those people then become taxpayers because they know that when they're down, the state created an avenue for them to be lifted up, and the state cared about them. You look at Scandinavian countries, they have the cradle to the grave sort of mode. They pay almost 40% in taxes. But they do it because the state looks out for them. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not just one latching or, cannibalizing, for lack of a better word, the other.
Thank you very much for that. That just speaks to how you get the buy-in of the people so that when they eventually make it, it's not hard for them to want to put something back on the table for others that are coming forward. So we call it paying it forward.
Yes.
Okay. Now, another question has come in, and it's a request for you to expatiate. I have read your programs where you intend to use transparency in government expenditures and multi-year orders in order to attract significant enterprise. How would that work? Because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with. First of all, in Lagos and most likely in Nigeria, we have trust issues.
Yes.
We have trust issues because we have been emotionally, psychologically,
Abused.
yes, we've been traumatized. We do not know what to believe. We don't know when they are telling the truth anymore. But one thing I know I heard you say in one of your campaign platforms was that first rule of thumb, just like your principal, His Excellency Peter Obi, what you would do would be to expose the accounts, the current books of what you are inheriting, and that's where you are able to be accountable per season for what it is you intend to do. So could you speak more to
Yes, so for
this?
us, it's about encouraging and enabling citizen engagement so that people can build trust again in the system. So we'll be opening and publishing our accounts line by line items and explaining these numbers with infographics. So you're not just looking at an Excel sheet, that is boring. The idea is you're going to have infographics that will carry along the decision making of government. So for instance, if we have 1 billion and in this local government we want to spend 100 million, these are the things that 100 million we have done in our healthcare, in our education, in our roads. But for now, we're going to prioritize healthcare. So carry you along in government's decision making, and these are things that build trust. Now, in achieving trust, you then start to have a system where people trust that you are going to make the best decision and give them the best value for their money. So they are more prone to paying taxes. Another thing is that we're going to create a situation where local governments will then be competing with themselves. So, and they're going to be ranked. So you have a situation where what is the ranking of a primary healthcare system or education system in Mushin local government versus Etiosa local government? Why is that? How can the states come in? Because there are some local governments that will be able to generate a lot more money, right? And that's where the state comes in to ensure that everybody all across the state has an equal playing field and has an equal level of exposure, right? So those are things that we're going to put in place. I also feel that in doing this, we then start to benchmark to World Bank standards, and we're able to get more bang for our buck. Currently, Lagos State is getting one bridge for the price of 4 bridges. right? And that needs to change because we have a huge infrastructure deficit. So the monies that we spend must actually give us the best value. And in opening up our accounts, it creates a life of its own. So, they say when you enter this office, you sit down, something happens to you. But the good thing is that once you've done that, it takes on a life of its own. And even if you don't publish by the second quarter, people start saying, what's going on? So you're under pressure because you set that precedent, which is something that we're going to do so it can take on a life of its own.
Thank you very much. I have two questions here which I'm going to merge, and I'm merging them because I think they carry the similar weight. One says I'm an actor, and similarly the other from the tech industry, and they would like to know how you intend to support. I know you have already spoken to this in some way, but I think that it's just the fact that a lot of younger people are really in this dilemma, so their hearts are beating, there's pressure, and time is passing, and they can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. Would you be building, or would you consider building, maybe like an actor's village? In Los Angeles, we have Hollywood. Everybody that's wants to be anything serious in Hollywood goes there to cut their teeth, and same way we have the Silicon Valley, as well for anything tech related. So please speak to this.
Yeah, so like I said, in every facet of productivity, and whether it's the arts, whether it's science, we're going to create an enabling environment for these things to thrive. So for us, it'll be creating festivals that will celebrate that community. We'll be creating funding and means by which they can fund certain things. I'll give you an example. You see, every movie that we watch from America that shows them as the last saviors of humanity, that shows them as the people that are always the ones that will stop the aliens, that shows them as the ones that have the best army to fight anything in the world, it is all deliberate and intentional. Right? And the government itself funds a lot of these movies. And then movies that don't portray them like that don't get that funding. So you see that a certain type of movie makes it more to the big screen than a lot of others, right? So this is where intentionality comes in. For us, we'll be curating the history of Lagos, because it has such a fascinating history. History of Lagos, history of Yoruba land as well. That's why history of Yoruba land, history of Lagos, and creating and curating it in a way that we can push out to the world that shows our uniqueness and invites them to come and visit and create a tourist hub. And in doing this, we'll be funding all art enthusiasts, all movie makers that are going to help us tell the story, because that's our focus. We're also going to be setting up workshops. Like I said, the idea of Gardener-in-Chief is you are constantly looking to improve the capacity of people. So you might have a camera, but there's a new technology now. There's a new means of editing. There's a new means of... We create workshops. And if you are registered on that database, you'll be aware that this workshop is happening. So you'll be able to come improve yourself. You're building a network of creatives, building a culture of creatives, and it's about productivity.
Absolutely. That is very, very encouraging. I would like to read another question out, and I think that even myself inclusive, even though I'm not probably considered amongst the unemployed or underemployed, but this is a real fear, that what is the assurance that these jobs that you're creating, yourself and your administration would be creating to better the lot of the masses, would not find itself hijacked by the privileged people? Because again, in the history of how things work in Nigeria, so to speak, we hear of large employment opportunities, and then by the time a certain number of people get there...
Yeah, you're 100% correct.
Yes.
You have a situation where people say they are doing affordable housing, but they sold it among themselves before it even gets to the market. You have a situation where something that's supposed to be affordable is costing 20, 30 million, and you're asking yourself, affordable to who?
True.
To who? Right? You have a situation where you have women that are sweeping our streets, but it's been mapped out like a mafia sort of collection system. These women sometimes are not earning up to 20,000 naira, but Loma is paying the people that own that corridor so much more money compared to the money that these people are earning. And they give it to themselves, you know? So I want to take away from that. The idea is that we want to create a situation where people have a living wage. Creating a living wage, people then have more disposable income. And having more disposable income, more businesses can thrive. When more businesses can thrive, more people can be employed, more people can be engaged, more businesses can flourish, and the multiplier effect is quite phenomenal. So that's what we're going to be doing. For us, in everything that we're looking at, our focus is on inclusive growth. Not a growth that's only captured by certain people or certain privileged people that know who that know. That's why our government is one of open platforms, right? Open platforms. So if we are creating wealth, let's say, I gave an example last time. We want to change about 70,000 buses, and I think one of your questions alluded to this. We want to replace all the downfalls in Lagos State. We need about 70,000 buses to do that. With that kind of purchasing power, we can make an agreement with an assembly plant that, okay, you guys come and set up here. We're going to buy 70,000 buses from you over a span of 6 or 8 years. Now, the state does not have to bring out the money to buy it. We can create a platform where you can say you want to buy this seat on this bus, or 3 seats, right? And we can maximize and say you cannot buy more than 4 seats. So it gives a huge amount of people the ability to be part of this wealth-creating phenomenon. And that's what we're going to be doing. So we're not going to be allowing, we're fighting state capture. We cannot come into office to continue perpetuating state capture. Not just by the political elite, but also commercial elite no. We want a broad-based level of growth. And we want to lift as many people out of poverty as possible. So that's going to be one of the key pillars in whatever policy that we're delivering.
Thank you very much. Now, I remember hearing something about in America, for example, and this may not be everywhere, but somebody pretty close to me at a time, was telling me about how it happens. Now, an example would be they have this amazing property in somewhere on the upscale end.
Yeah, highbrow.
Yes. However, they are constrained by the rule of law in that state and zoning as well, that no matter how upscale this property is, at least 2 or 3 of the apartments there must have lower prices to accommodate people who are on the lower echelon.
Yes.
Is there some plan?
That's it. So as part of our accommodation plans is to ensure that to get planning permission, a certain amount of units in whatever development you are doing must cater directly to people that are low income or create multi-income housing. Now, we go further to say that volume, think of it like a cube. The realtor can say, you know what, it does not really make commercial sense for us to put this here in Banana Island. We can put it in Okokomaiko in Ojo. Right? They can pay a higher bill for that to the government to do that, but that volume must be built. And this way you start to create, social housing. And it's something where you're tying the private sector into funding, cross-funding affordable housing. So that's something that we're going to be doing. So it'll be cheaper for them to have that unit, let's say in Banana Island. But if they want to insist, we're not going to say no. You pay a higher levy or a higher due, and that volume will be built on another site that the government allocates. The idea for us is, again, like I said, inclusive. We must create systems and enabling environment for people to have inclusive development. We cannot be basing Lagos to say we want to create a new Dubai when most Nigerians cannot afford to live in Dubai. Right? You have Banana Island and you have Eco Atlantic that pretty much has shut out so many people. And what's very sad about the urbanism in Lagos State is you can build some of the most expensive, beautiful houses. You just have to look far enough. You see the shanties right across. And it should not be like that.
No, it shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Thank you so much. I'm going to pause at this point to ask if there are people in the audience who would like to ask some questions. And while you're gathering your thoughts and trying to make up your mind if you want to ask the questions, I would go back to a few questions that I have here. We're almost done. Almost, but not yet. Almost. This is now going to place a demand on you to appeal.
Okay.
We want you to appeal, and by this I mean there are lots of young people who are or who have been forced into, entrepreneurship because when they finished school,
there are no jobs.
There were no jobs. However, a good number of these people are now, they're doing well in the skill and the craft, but they are not handling it like a career or a profession. They are using it as a placeholder, still hoping and trusting that they would get jobs that will take them out of the hustle. Now, we know the world over, not everybody would get regular jobs. And according to one of the things you mentioned during your last interactive session, was that we want to move people from just being carpenters and plumbers to become proper craftsmen. So we would like you to use this opportunity, to appeal and throw some light to the younger ones who are underemployed and unemployed, who have found themselves in the place of entrepreneurship due to circumstances.
Yes, thank you so much. So for me, I feel that we live in a connected world now. A world that you can be in Lagos and you're talking to someone in Houston, you are doing business, you are moving money around so quickly. So we should not be restricted by where we are. We should be players in the global market. And to achieve this, you must be bringing a skill and a quality of craftsmanship and a quality of production that is world class. So our government is working to ensure that people become craftsmen, and we are supporting people to export things, supporting people to expose and shine lights on the work that they are doing, so that they will not be restricted by the economy of Lagos or the fact that people have very small disposable income in Lagos State. There's so many things that you make that are so beautiful. You look at our craftsmen, our arts and crafts sort of market, and those things can be understand for like 7 months, but you just take that to an airport in America and to sell out. It's not because it's so beautiful, it's just because the people walking past have disposable income. If they pay 10,000 naira, 15,000 naira, or even 8,000 naira, they don't feel it because they have disposable income. They also have credit. So the idea is we need to increase level of disposable income in the state. But while that is being done, I appeal to the youth of this our generation. You have social media that allows you to market things from your home, wherever you are in Lagos or Nigeria, to the entire world. Don't give up. Sharpen that skill. Make your craft better. Perfect your craft. Today now, you can get a Harvard education from your house. Harvard is Harvard EDU, right? You go online and you get a Harvard education. There's so many skills that you can learn from YouTube, so many skills that you can learn online. And that's another thing we're going to be doing at the skill acquisition centers that will be scattered all around Lagos. Free access to internet, but for only productive purposes. You'll not be able to come there and log on to Africa Magic. It will not go. The idea is that you're going to come and you will see anything productive, how this is made. It will literally be championed to allow for that kind of thing to happen. So Perfect your craft, perfect your skill. Look at what other people are doing across the world. Practice, keep practicing and keep getting your skill set better. So that you then become, you can truly play at a global level. And that's what our advice our youth to do. And then also vote for Gbadebo Vivour so that he'll come and make that dream a reality.
Thank you very much for that, sir. That reminds me of a story I read about Shaq.
Okay.
Shaq O'Neal, the Nigerian basketball player based in America. And he said that he had become wildly successful. I mean, he had his lawyers, his accountants, but that every time he went into a meeting, that the counterparts would say, "Oh, hi, Shaq. Hello, Mr. Neal," and then they would face his accountants, face his lawyers. And he said, "Oh, these people gave him the vibe that he was rich, he had the money, but he couldn't understand their lingo, And he now said, okay, you know what? He was going to get an MBA, get an education. And he went ahead, contacted a school, can't remember the name of the school, I think it's University of Phoenix, I'm not certain. And they said that we can't just create one MBA for you alone. And he said, what's the minimum number? They said he needs 15 people. And he paid for 15 of his friends, and they all got an MBA. It did something for him. So that was somebody who had a skill and a craft and still pursued an education to keep sharpening himself and, is able to play on literally every platform now. So that speaks quite poignantly. We're about wrapping up. Again,
sorry, just to piggyback on what you just said, and it ties into what I say about continuous capacity building that the government is going to foster, right? You're paying your taxes, you're getting a letter from the government saying, we're not coming to collect money from you, we want to come and help you do this training so you can use Excel better. Can you imagine how you feel as a citizen? Where people come with their laptop, let's train you on how to do this so your business can work better. Someone can come, okay, you are doing bread, right? Are you aware that you can achieve these economies of scale if you get corn from this place? The state is actually looking into this to allow for all the people making bread to be able to get corn cheaper. Imagine how you feel as a citizen, that the government has your back, right? And this is because the government operates from a place where it can achieve massive economies of scale. And that massive economies of scale savings can be passed down to so many individuals that they can never get by themselves, right? So these are the kind of things I'm talking about. And in doing this, you're building capacity, like you just said. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to do.
We appreciate that very much. I believe I've gotten some information that someone is interested in asking a question from the audience. Please go ahead. Good evening.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rhodes, for the laudable initiatives you have highlighted. I have a question, but 3 in 1. Oh, my name is Sheo. I work with FinTech Association of Nigeria.
Okay.
So by virtue of where I work, I know we deal a lot with startups. And, we have different categories. We have those in Series A, Series B, and C. And so you can talk of the like of FloraWave, Paystack, InterSwitch, and those are the guys that are attracting a lot of funds from global investors. But for us, we quite understand that a lot is lost at the ideation level due to lack of funding. So my first question is, how do you intend to create that pool of funds that will enable the young startup, those who are at the ideation or pre-seed stage, to be able to scale to more higher levels, so that maybe in the next 4 years of your tenure, we will have more unicorns emerging from Lagos? My second question...
I'm not saying that we are going to create a venture fund that will just be funding. That's what the private sector does. Our job as a government is to create an enabling environment for that private sector, to attract them in, to let them know, come, we want you here, right? You can get this discount on taxes. Come and settle in Lagos. We want you in Lagos. Also, So improve the livability of Lagos. There's no traffic. You love Lagos. You're enjoying Lagos. So more businesses can come and set up here. In doing that, we create an ecosystem. Also, as a governor, to be interacting with them. If, as a governor of Lagos, I travel to Silicon Valley, go and meet them and talk to them, meet with Flutterwave, meet with some of these young men, identify with them, listen to their pains, listen to how we can make their experience in Lagos better, as opposed to a governor hearing that, these people are making so much money, and the thing that comes to mind is, how can we tax these people a lot more? You understand? That's not our government. Our government is to enable them so the ecosystem becomes huge, and then we can now harvest. You understand? So that's the first thing. Secondly, you talked about so unicorns emerging from Lagos. For me, creating that environment, making Lagos State the destination to be. Also creating lots of capacity. So that's what we're talking about, capacity building. So really investing heavily in people acquiring skills to code, people acquiring skills to be able to be participants in this sector. Co-creation hubs, engaging them, funding them, seeing how we can improve them, right? And really opening our arms to them because they are the future, right? In this also, it ties to education. We're going to have a complete digital education blueprint for the entire system, education system. So a situation where 30% of the schools are using computers, 70% are not. Everybody will start to use computers. Everybody starts to understand digital programming. Everybody starts to benefit from digital technology in education. I like what you said about computer village. You're right. But then you see the issue is the computer village people will be extremely defensive because every time they are threatening them that they will move them somewhere, or they are threatening them that if they vote for this person, they will shut them down, or they are one Babaloja or Yaloja is just collecting money from them with nothing to show for it. So these are things that need to be changed. Now, these kind of conversations can be engaged when they see you as a partner, as a stakeholder in their success. And then all of you can sit down and say, come, how about we have OEM assembly plans for some of these things you are buying? All of you are buying Samsung phones. The economies of scale that you achieve in ordering all these phones that are coming here, you can actually be pleased to negotiate for an assembly situation to be happening here, and we are creating jobs, right? These are some things that we can look into and engage. And then lastly, I talk about employability. You're right. Like I always say, people are still telling young children in Lagos State that, and all over Nigeria, that Mongo Park discovered River Niger, right? So our school textbooks and our knowledge base must be significantly upgraded, right? And this must take into consideration the world that we are preparing these children to come into. They are coming to a world of ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is really smarter than most human beings in the world today. And that's the world we are bringing them in. We cannot be bringing them into that world with the kind of curriculum that we currently have. So for us, we're focused a lot on changing the curriculum in schools in Lagos State. I know that there are some questions about how you can do that, but for me, I don't look at myself as a governor of any other state. I look at myself, by God's grace, as the second president in Nigeria. You understand?
Yes,
because
sir.
Lagos State is home to most of Nigeria, a huge population, a huge amount of funds, and the excellence, independence and all of that started from Lagos. So because you moved to Abuja does not mean Lagos State is still Lagos State. So the idea is we're not going to be limited by what other states are doing. We are setting the pace, right? We need an overhaul in our education system. We are not going to be limited by Abuja. And I don't believe that by God's grace, with His Excellency Peter will be at the center, that he will see an idea like that and cut it short. So that's one. Also, after-school programs, extremely important. The application of knowledge that you get in school. You should be able to learn about musical notes and then understand how, the hide or intestines of a cow is used to make a violin. How many people know that? How many people know that? That the intestines and the hide of cows, are used to make violins. Or the hooves of a cow is used to make glue. Or the spleen of a catfish is used to make zero waste. And knowledge is power. So many people don't know. It's like, for instance, one of the businesses I used to do, I used to export cashew. And I'll go to Kogi. You know, there's a cashew belt. This is all about productivity, so it's good. I'll get to my point. Just stay with me. There's a cashew belt that goes all the way from Ogbomoso down, entering into Enugu through Kogi. I used to go along all of this. My warehouse was in Kogi. And when you are moving in those cashew plantations, if you were to take the nuts off the farm, they can beat your life. Oh. You can eat the cashew as much as you want. You can dump but you cannot take the nut away. Now, you see that nut, when you break it, there's acid there.
Where INEC take arrange all the political party logos alphabetically mean say Labour Party logo LP go fall into number 11. So if you not fit quick see the Labour Party logo LP when you go there alone for inside the polling cubicle on top the ballot paper, cuckoo count from number 1 down till number 11. You go see where Labour Party logo LP sit down gidigba, where them draw Papa, Mama and Pikin on top white circle where them write forward ever. All of them sit down on top red and green background like so. Attention. No go forget say na only 3 people, Mama, Papa and Pikin, name the draw for the Labour Party LP logo. When you don't identify the Labour Party LP logo, take your index finger, maybe this one when you see for screen like so. Press them on top the ink pad and then press them join the empty box when there by the side of the Labour Party logo LP. Be careful oh, make the ink for no go stain any other part of the ballot paper. No even allow the ink touch the lines when surround the box when your fingerprints supposed to.
The acid in the nuts, you can use it to make nail polish remover. The kernel, you can use it to make brake pads. The cashew juice itself everything has multiple applications. You know, so the idea is knowledge, giving people this knowledge, letting them see opportunities that are right before them, but it's wasting away, right? So these are things that we're going to be looking at. And that's why understanding how things are made is so important, because that then programs your mind to understand what you can make, right? Another thing we've not touched on is power. And, you know, with the incident that happened, it's something to talk about. We're going to be looking at creating estates that are powered by LNG, industrial estates that have 24 hours power. We're going to be embracing private sector heavily in this. Anybody that wants to create those kind of estates, we're going to make the process of getting whatever they need as easy as possible. And that's what ease of business is talking about. As long as you're taking the interests of the state forward, we're going to make it as easy for you as possible to make those things a reality. Because once we have a lot of power, our productivity will also increase significantly, and that also increase number of jobs that we can produce and have in Lagos State.
Okay, so this is the last comment.
Okay.
And you will indulge me.
No problem.
So I saw somewhere on social media, yourself and your principal having a really good nap.
Oh, yes.
At the lounge of an airport.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that made you feel personally? You know, give us a peek into the thoughts that crossed your mind. As I saw that picture, I was like, I don't know how they do it. Better them than me, you know, but it tugged at my emotions to see 2 people passionately driven and the only place they could see to catch a nap was at the airport lounge, fast asleep.
Yeah. So that day, His Excellency Peter called me the night before and said he wanted to visit some local governments. So we did that, and then he also had to go to Ife that day to engage with some youth. So we're at terminal for, I think he was going to use a helicopter. And the weather was so bad, so they were not letting him take off. So an idea would have been that he would have slept in the chopper. But we were just sitting down there. They had not announced the time, and he was tired. He had been up till 4 a.m. And then we met. He got back into Lagos. He called me at 7 that his flight was taking off. He got into Lagos for about 8:49. Our convoy joined at 9 a.m. and then we moved. And then by 10:30, by 11, we're back at the choppers because he had to be in Ife for 12:31, right? So when I saw people making fun of it and saying all sorts, for me, I feel that man is a machine. I don't know where he gets the energy from. I don't even think I can perform as optimally as him. I feel he's prepared. I don't know, but there seems to have been a mental preparation for this moment. Or maybe it's just God that's giving him the strength because it's not normal.
Or perhaps it's the apple.
The apple.
Apple.
The apple. Maybe. But that was just a moment where we were waiting. We don't know when they'll call the plane because we don't know what to do. We're just waiting. So I'm tired, you're tired. You just said, you know what, please, I'm just going to sleep. Because like now I'm not feeling myself. My last meeting yesterday was at 3 a.m. I had to meet, I had a meeting at 7 a.m. to be able to go over some things. Barely gotten any sleep. And this thing started to take its toll. So when any chance you get, man, just sleep.
Just sleep.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I was born in my parents' old age, and I used to wonder why a Saturday, where we could go out, Daddy would be sleeping, and I would wake and push, and he would now say, let's go, we'll go to Ikoyi Club or something. I'm an adult now. Sleep is bae.
Sleep is beautiful.
Sleep is the best form of entertainment these days. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me, put your hands together as we appreciate Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We promised to keep this as short and sharp as possible, and we're actually on time because 6:30 we would be out of here. Now, the reason why we have gathered here today and the reason why we're having this type of interactive engagement is to have an idea of the person that we are promoting. Mr. Rhodes Vivour has committed himself, his resources, his family, everything into, taking us to a Lagos that we dream of, because dreams can actually come true. We have the obligation, not just in the political arena, but in our lives. We do not say that because we cannot afford house rent today, that therefore we're moving back to sleeping under a bridge. No, we take the steps in order to make sure that we are getting to the destination that we need to get to. We do not look at the resources and the challenges and say, oh, it appears historically and all that. We don't live our lives based on what has happened. We live our lives based on where we want to go, and we take those actions. Now, Mr. Rhodes Vivour is the principal for the Lagos gubernatorial candidature under Labour Party. And we ask you to please commit yourselves, commit your resources, commit your circles of influence, power, and authority into making sure that this Lagos that we dream of comes to pass. In the same vein, he is very much a reflection of his principal, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, and we have an election coming up on Saturday, the 25th. we ask you to again gather your resources and make sure that we turn up with the right attitude, with resilience, integrity, and commitment to where we want to go. Because that is all we can actually put forward for our own sake, so that when we sleep at night or we look at the mirror, we don't tell ourselves in our heart of hearts that we sold out our consciences. And so on that note, after the 25th, after this Saturday, when is the next one we are going to vote? Let
March
me know.
11.
Yes, you would know the date. March 11th. March 11th. In fact, just have it, set a timer, set something to be beeping everywhere. Because we must, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, we have won. Oh.
Amen.
We have won. You just agree. Agree to make sure that all your resources and everything takes you to where you want to be. Thank you very much for your time. Can we rise and have the national anthem?
I have decided
To follow Gbadebo, I have decided to vote for Labour. No turning back.
No turning back.
No turning back.
Da-da-dum-dum-dum. Now, after that, because we are Nigerians, we will take the national anthem. Now we know that there's a Labour one. You would wax an album and please circulate so we can all be prepared next time, right? Yes. So, national anthem, please. Second stanza. Shall reign. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fellow Nigerians, you now say na 18 political parties go dey inside ballot paper on the presidential election day. Make you no go confuse you, and make you no go talk say you no sabi the Labour Party logo. Oya look where now me I explain and give you. Now the way INEC take arrange all the political party logos alphabetically, mean say Labour Party logo LP go fall into number 11. So if you no fit quick see the Labour Party logo LP, when you go there alone for inside the polling cubicle, on top the ballot paper, cuckoo count from number 1 down till number 11. You go see where Labour Party logo LP sit down gidigba, where them draw Papa, Mama and Pikin. On top white circle where them write forward ever. All of them sit down on top red and green background like so. Attention. No go forget say na only 3 people, Mama, Papa and Pikin, name the draw for the Labour Party LP logo. When you don't identify the Labour Party LP logo, take your index finger, what be this one when you see for screen like so. Trace them on top the ink pad and then press them join the empty box when there by the side of the Labour Party logo LP. Be careful oh, make the ink for no go stain any other part of the ballot paper. No even allow the ink touch the lines when surround the box when your fingerprint suppose dey. Abeg oh, help us show these videos to them mamas and them papas when they for rural areas. And who see, make him for show in neighbors oh. Vote for Labour Party LP. Obi Daddy. A new Nigeria. It's possible. Fellow Nigerians, you now say na 18 political parties go dey inside ballot paper on the presidential election day. Make you no go confuse you, and make you no go talk say you no sabi the Labour Party logo. Oya look well now, me I explain and give you. Now the way INEC take arrange all the political party logos alphabetically, means say Labour Party logo LP go fall into number 11. So if you no fit quick see the Labour Party logo LP, when you go there alone for inside the polling cubicle, on top the ballot paper, cuckoo count from number 1 down till number 11. You go see where Labour Party logo LP sit down gidigba, where them draw Papa, Mama and Pikin. On top white circle where them write forward ever. All of them sit down on top red and green background, like so. Attention. No go forget say na only 3 people, Mama, Papa and Pikin, name the draw for the Labour Party LP logo. When you don't identify the Labour Party LP logo, take your index finger, what be this one when you see for screen like so. Trace them on top the ink pad and then press up join the empty box when there by the side of the Labour Party logo. LP. Be careful oh, make the ink for no go stain any other part of the ballot paper. No even allow the ink touch the lines when surround the box when your fingerprints suppose dey. Abeg help us show these videos to them mamas and them papas when they for rural areas. And who see? Making for show in neighbors oh. Vote for Labour Party. LP. Obi Daddy. A new Nigeria. It's possible.